Welcome to Caricomp Insider, where high-tech facial recognition meets real-world intelligence.
Starting July 1st, an adult website in Iowa is supposed to check your ID before letting you in. But the law that requires it never says where your driver's license goes after that. Not who holds it, not how long they keep it, not whether they ever delete it. If you've ever uploaded a photo of your ID to get into a website or open an account, this story is about you. Iowa's Governor Kim Reynolds signed a bill called House File 864. It orders adult sites to confirm visitors are at least 18. Sites can do that with a digital ID, with transaction data, or with other methods the state attorney general signs off on. Iowa is now one of at least 25 states with a law like this. So the real question isn't whether kids should be blocked. It's this. Once you hand over your ID, who's keeping it and why? Let's start with the money, because the money explains the behavior. Under Iowa's law, a website that slips up can be fined up to $10,000 a day. And every single time a minor gets in counts as its own separate violation. Picture that math. A company facing that kind of liability has one obvious defense. Proof. Proof they checked. Proof they tried. And proof means keeping records. So the law accidentally rewards companies for collecting more of your data and holding onto it longer? For you, that means your ID doesn't just get checked. It gets stored as evidence in someone else's legal defense. Now look at what happens when storing becomes the norm. In Louisiana, a similar law lets companies keep verification records for up to 7 years. 7 years of scanned driver's licenses, sitting on a server. Privacy researchers have a name for that. They call it a honeypot. A big, sweet pile of personal data that attracts hackers. And these breaches aren't hypothetical. The Electronic Frontier Foundation has tracked age verification vendors getting breached before. When that happens, it's not just a leaked password. It's your actual government ID in a stranger's hands. There's a better way to do this, and it's worth knowing the name. The Center for Democracy and Technology points to something called attribute-based verification. In plain terms, the system confirms one fact: you're over 18. It says yes, and nothing else. Not your name, not your address, not a copy of your license. Carnegie Mellon researchers point out that if a breach hits, a stolen, yes, this person is an adult, is almost useless to a thief. A stolen ID document is a gold mine. But here's the gap. Iowa's law only asks for reasonable age verification. It never says use the private method. And vague rules push companies toward whatever's cheapest and easiest, which is usually the version that grabs everything. I want to be fair to the other side, because the safety concern is real. Studies cited by these same researchers say the average child first sees online pornography around age 11. 11. That's a genuine harm parents are right to worry about. And platforms aren't being paranoid when they keep records either. The Supreme Court recently upheld a Texas age verification law, so these rules are likely here to stay, and the legal pressure on companies is real. Here's the part the law skips entirely. To keep one group of people out, you have to identify everybody. The only way to sort minors from adults is to make every adult prove who they are first. So a law sold as protecting kids quietly ends anonymous browsing for grown-ups. So let's bring it home. Iowa now requires adult sites to check your age, but it never says who keeps your ID, or for how long, or whether they ever throw it away. The fight was never really about blocking kids. It was about who ends up holding your driver's license. Whether you handle sensitive client files for a living or just want to read something online without a copy of your ID floating around, this decides how much of yourself you have to surrender at the door. The full breakdown's in the show notes if you want the deep dive.
Now you know something most people in this industry don't. Use it. And when you're ready to put it to work, Caracomp.com. We'll see you tomorrow.